it's hard to do at first until you meditate on your own sins, your own depravity. Like if you're not willing to face up to the facts that you have done and said and been a villain in somebody's life at some point, and you played the villain role, and when you were the villain, God still loved you. Like when we were still sinners, God sent His Son to die for us on the cross, and we received that grace. Man, that's what changes lives. That's what turns
Gosh,
us changes
my
the
life
story.
was saved so many times. You remember
Right?
with the glass window when the guy was shooting directly at me from 5 feet away?
Yeah, yeah. Like
Fuck.
why,
Yeah.
I mean, I had a flask, an active reaction making meth in a meth lab in a little bathroom in a single wide mobile home. Like I was cooking up this thing, and I had a piece of scientific glassware, and I put it down on a hot plate, but the hot plate had ceramic on it, and glass and ceramic don't mix. Like ceramic breaks glass. And so I had
Oh
this
wow.
volatile reaction going on, and I put it down to heat it up, and I hear a tink. I'm like, uh-oh. And the crack starts going around the whole thing. I'm like, oh no. And again, every time I would go to manufacture crystal meth, I had debts to pay with those drugs. And so if that batch didn't work out, that again, that's where I was going to get into more problems with other people. And so I was trying to find something to put it in, and then poof, the top pops off of the glassware, and the whole room fills up with the purple cloud, and I can feel my lungs starting to collapse from this purple cloud, and I start to lose consciousness. And I was able to crawl out of the room. I put the flask inside of a tub, and I turned off the hot plate, and I crawled out of the room with this big old purple cloud of it was it what the
That's right out
gas.
of the show, dude.
Yeah, yeah,
Damn.
yeah, yeah. It was like so it makes a sort of nerve mustard gas is what it happens inside the reaction. And so I
Wow.
mean I was getting feeling the effects of that. I crawl out and I pass out on the floor, and I wake up a couple hours later, and I go in there and try and salvage whatever I could, and it was all junk. But I was like, dang, I could have died right there. But now,
Yeah.
I mean, but now I'm still stuck with this mess that I still owe money for, and it was just a really bad day, a really
It'll
bad
be
day that I,
interesting to see when we get
yeah.
to the other side and replay that moment.
So, right,
What
indeed,
actually
indeed.
happened if an angel came down and fanned around your
Yeah,
face
just a
or
little bit
something?
of error, I mean, but that day, that was a day that lady that I owed, I was in her house, and that's the one that I almost shot in the face. Like she came to an old, like 60-year-old biker meth lady, and I owed her money because she gave me money to make that batch of meth, and the batch didn't work out, and so she comes to collect on me like a week later, and I was like, listen, I feel like killing myself that I can't because I can't pay you. She's like all snarky, you won't do it. And I grabbed the gun out of my bag and cocked back. I was like, maybe if I kill you first, I'll have the motivation to kill myself. And my plan, like what was in my head that whole week or that whole month really was I'm just gonna flip out and I'm gonna kill a bunch of people and then kill myself. I was planning on doing a murder suicide. That was how I was planning on going out. And man, it was right there. I was gonna squeeze the trigger and blow that lady's face right all over the wall. I wasn't shaking or nothing. I was drew down, locked and loaded, ready to do it, and I could not get my finger to squeeze that trigger. It was weird. I looked at my hand and I tried to do it again. I could not get myself to squeeze the trigger, and I put the gun down and I grabbed. There was a little fan, like a little metal fan on the floor, and I grabbed the cord of the fan and I ripped it out of the wall. And there was a dude sitting right next to me, and the fan flew up and smacked him in the face, and blood squirted all over the room. And I was just like, "What the heck is going on here?" And then they pulled everybody out of the room. Like when they heard the gun cock, everybody was like, "What's going on?" And then when I almost shot her in the face, they came in, they pulled her out. The guy with the blood on his face, he walks out of the room, and then I'm just sitting there like in the
Holy
midst of
shit.
this chaos, like what is going on? Like I don't know. Yep.
Oh wow. Okay, cool.
Okay, cool.
So yeah. when my daughter got kidnapped, I fell out. Well, I could tell you the story just real quick, and the last thing I remember is looking at my foot, telling myself to go to the bathroom, and my body just totally shut down. And then a week later, the owners of I was renting in a side apartment from a family. There's a fence around the entire house and a couple side apartments, and Carolina was throwing rocks at the door of the owner in a pouring down tropical Panama rain.
Wow.
So I remember looking at my foot saying, "Go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom." I was just like in a total coma. And then the next thing I remember is getting pulled out, and I had not drink water in like 5 days. I just was done. I don't remember anything at full time. My throat was so dry. I remember it was hard to suck air in. It was a crazy condition
Wow.
that you can only experience when you're just right about to die, which is what my mind said to myself is, dude, you're dead. You're dead in seconds. And so when I came to, and there was 100 missed calls on my phone from her and no one else, and of course she had got those people. I just looked at the sky and I was just like, all right, no matter what happens, I'm always gonna have her back, and I'm coming back to you, and
Yeah.
thank you very much. And so yeah, the experience really made me um,
I have a heart of compassion for her. Like, so has she grown up in the normal, like middle, Central American, rough life for females or whatever,
well,
experiences with women, which I get. I mean, I understand the evil that women do. Like, I mean, so I mean, you saw me with Alma, right? Like, I was about to kill her or kill myself or kill somebody else. Like, and
totally.
I had your pistol under the seat, and I was actually thinking of taking it. And yeah, I remember that was
That's
a
crazy.
crazy
Crazy, dude.
night. Yeah, but
Well,
yeah, there is. So okay, if you believe what the Bible says is true, that we do not wrestle. Our battle is not against human beings. It's against the spiritual forces that are behind the evil deeds of beings. And at the same time, we're also supposed to be discerning enough to say, to realize when a person has given themselves over to the darkness or refuses to come to the light. We are supposed to cut ways. I mean, according to what the Bible says, do not cast your pearls before swine. Do not give what is holy to the dogs. Do not, and it says in Second Timothy that there's going to be in the last days. And so, the people have been arguing whether we're living in the last days for the past 2,000 years, but we're closer now than we were then. And it says in the last days that people are going to be brutal, despisers of good, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, headstrong, haughty, lover, just completely disruptive, evil. And from those people, we have to have the discernment enough to say, okay, I've tried to bring light to the situation. I've tried to help these people, but if I can't, if they're not going to receive it and they're not willing to repent or change or to do anything positive, then you have to cut ways. And if especially
yeah,
with a person that you're with, okay, like me and Claire, like we were drug addicts together, and we were destructive and violent, and we did all the things that a drug addict couple do. Like, I mean, I was a straight up psychopath, and she was a freaking crazy tweaker chick, right? And
yeah,
at the same time, I'm also really stubborn and really not willing to, like, when I'm really connected to someone, I'm not willing to just throw somebody away. But
yeah,
when I went to jail, like, I was facing 9-year prison sentence for manufacturing, And I thought, I thought I was, I didn't know if I was going to get out of jail, for a long time or not. And she
Mhm.
sent me a Dear John letter. She left me for some other meth cook. Like, and so, so we've been together 25 years, aside from about
Wow.
6 or 7 months. Um, but that 6 or 7 months, she was with some other dude, and it was rough, man. It was like that was my worst fear had come to reality. Like the one, because I mean, through all the drugs and all the craziness, she was the only person on the planet that I cared about. And to see her with some other freaking, and then this dude was a hardcore bandito, like biker, like the of the on the in the meth level. Like he was just one of the ones that were around Albuquerque. He was infamous. Like, don't go around that dude. He's beaten people and done horrible things to people and zip tied people and done all kinds of crazy stuff. And so there was all kinds of people. We knew of this guy before I went to jail. And then she,
Mm.
gets linked up with him when I'm in jail. And she's that's the I don't know if you've heard me share my testimony where I'm talking about I get a letter, I'm reading the letter in jail, and then I start banging my head against the wall. Yeah, well,
Mhm.
she said that she was hanging around his house, and I'm banging my head against the wall, freaking out. Like, heck no, like that's not like how you. I mean, like I was bad, but this dude was the freaking devil. She's gonna leave me for the devil, for the devil himself.
Yeah.
And and then when I got out of jail, I mean, again, her eyes, like her pupils, were different sizes. Like she was on complete insanity mode. Like
Wow.
she was saying, wicked things. Like I went to go see her. I was like, okay, I'm out. Are we getting back together? And she told me
My,
to my face, she's like, I don't know. I kind of like Mike. And I was like, what? As soon as she said that, I flipped the freak out. I grabbed a mirror and smashed it over my head and just went freaking crazy. Like I went insane. But again, and it was back and forth. She was, running around doing all kinds of drugs with, and hanging around with that dude. And I was freaking out because I had prayed. I was like, God, you have to bring her back. You have to do
yeah.
something. And there was a point where I was like, oh, I guess God's not going to do anything. And that's when I went back to getting high. That's when I went back to,
Wow.
I went and got another girlfriend and just started moving back into that life. And it was crazy though, about, I don't know, a month and a half after being back in a meth lab and having a new girlfriend, one of our other friends, I don't know if you ever met her, her name was Kim. She used to go to the raves too. But
Mhm.
Kim calls me up and she's like, did you hear about Claire? I was like, what? I didn't hear anything about Claire. And she's like, she's been at her mom's house in the closet crying for 3 days. I was like, what? And it turns out, she was at that dude's house, and they were doing shrooms or something, and then she sat up on the bed and realized where she was at and who she was with, and had like this epiphany, a moment of clarity on shrooms, and told him, you need to take me home. And she went home and went to her mom's house and just started repenting and crying out to God in the closet, crying for 3 days. And then she, after Kim tells me that, I talked to her and she's crying. She's like, "You probably hate me." I mean, and you're never gonna love me again. And I told her, I was like, I'm not wasting the 5 years that we spent together in hell over the darkness of this world. I told her,
Wow. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I love about you, dude. And back to that thing about the pearls and Claire doesn't have the narcissistic personality disorder either.
Yeah.
But back to the pearls in front of the swine. You know what all three of these narcissists have used is it's very easy to frame me as a thug. I mean, I was, but it's very just physical appearance. They know if they say this guy beat me and the cops show up, it's going to be effective because they're going to take one look at me and be like, all right, right.
Yeah.
And so I have actually several times by this woman, definitely by my kid. I mean, this woman punched me in the face like 50 times and I didn't do anything. I just got up and walked out. So
Yeah.
didn't be not the abusive one in that dynamic. The
Yeah.
other one, my kid's mom, she threw keys at my head, tried to hit me with a baby shower. I'm just deflecting stuff. Pick her up, set her outside, lock the door, pick up the woman, right? I just
Yeah.
quick bear hug, put her outside, shut the door, didn't hurt her. She went and said I headbutted her, punched her, all this. Thank God the cop showed up and said, well, he's a 200-pound guy and she doesn't look like anything like that's happened to her. And
Yeah.
he said that in the report, so I don't know if I believe this woman, so that
That's
saved
cool.
me. Yeah, that guy saved me. And,
Good cops,
but
huh? Hey, good cops do exist.
yeah. Even saved me. Can you believe it? But
I
so
do.
many corrupt ones. Fuck me, man. But anyway, the thing that I was getting at is even now, even in the last 5 days, you know what I mean? This person is just like, well, I'll just tell the cops that you this and this and that and all this stuff. I was like, yeah, but that's not me.
Yeah.
And she's just like, yeah, but you want to do this and you want to do that. So, and it's just like, yeah, but that would be extremely evil. I'm an extremely good person. So if you do something extremely evil to an extremely good person, that's even worse, right? You see that, right?
Yeah.
And she, I'm just like, I feel sorry for you and your soul. You could do whatever you want. And I know that because I've been so good, that God will look out for me. How about that? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And and all that being said, I hope you don't do that because I don't want your soul to go to the wrong end. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm hopeful. So I chat GPT, can a person, and I'll have to put that below, or at least the large version of this video. I chat GPT, can a person with narcissistic personality disorder fix themselves? And it gave of course, right? Chat GPT
Yeah.
gave this really good. So I would just copy and paste to everything she said, in Spanish. That, like, I hope for you. I fight for your soul more than you fight for your soul.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but it, yeah, and then further back to what you said about we're fighting principalities and evil spirits and darkness, dude. As so, the house I'm in, the serial killer, and all those saints around here,
Right.
just
Crazy
for their
dude.
houses.
Yeah. Right.
Just he's a chaplain, and so my mom puts on the sheep's clothing of this golden convert. This
Yeah.
guy, of course, is chaplain, and but lying.
Wait, but before he gets busted, he was a chaplain, or right now he's a
No,
chaplain in the prison.
he becomes chaplain in jail,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And also because in the Dateline special, he was like a Nazi skinhead and all this stuff. So and now he's
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Panamanian jail, and oh no
Huh.
no no. Anyway, most maniacal, manipulative dude, narcissistic personality disorder, like,
Yeah.
right? And he continues to lie on his victims, making himself sound like a hitman, right? He wants to tell this hitman narrative so that he doesn't look like quite the piece of garbage that he is. And he
Yeah. Yeah.
just published a book saying, "Long live King." Da, da, da.
Yeah.
And he writes a Wikipedia page that says chaplain brokers peace between rival gangs. Gang leader is one of the gang leaders. This is just a self-written Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
Panama is actually, there are gangs and there are capos and there is organized crime and all that stuff, but not what he's describing in all these. He's just living
He's just
this.
making up a
And
nice little fiction for himself or whatever.
right, and in fact, there's a whole book, a best-selling book by a best-selling author in Europe, and he says in there, he says like, yeah, this guy is just pumping out fantasies and he's wanting to believe them, and he's full of shit, and he's just the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But the spiritual thing that you're talking about, like, I would say there's a pretty high percentage of Panama that is going through the narcissistic personality mechanisms. In
Yeah.
fact, the best president this place ever had was President Martinelli when I first got here, who was about to be president.
We'll
But
see how it
anyways,
goes,
it's
man. I mean, so the demonic forces that we see, I mean, it affects people's psychology. Like, um, so the enemy, he whispers in people's ears. He gets them to believe certain things. So narcissism, this extreme self-consumption, a narcissist is consumed with themselves. They don't care about
mhm.
anybody else. All they care about is themselves. And this is extreme. It's a common battle that we see with with people in general. I mean, I saw it in my own life. Like, so when I was suicidal and depressed, I was suicidal and depressed because I was always focusing on myself. Like, all I cared about was the things that I wanted in life, and I was sad and angry and frustrated and suicidal because I couldn't have the things that I wanted in life. And that's a form of narcissism where you're just consuming yourself with your own personal desires. You can't see past your own face, and you don't have any eyes for the rest of the world. And that's a demonic shroud. Like, the Bible says that people's foolish hearts can be darkened. It's like a darkness that can fall over a whole community, a whole country, and
Well,
individuals.
Ron Bell was probably a narcissist. And
Oh,
for
he
those of
definitely
you who
still
don't
is.
know
Yeah,
who Ron
yeah,
Bell is,
yeah,
Ron Bell is who Better Call Saul. And
yeah.
nobody had
No,
the last name Saul that
right?
I know of in Albuquerque. So we know that they
Yeah,
took that from Kenny
yeah.
because
Could
they always
possibly.
exploit. And
Yeah,
Better Call Saul was a narcissist lawyer, accident lawyer, or excuse me, Ron Bell was the Better Call Saul in the
yeah.
show.
True. True.
He
And
was a
so that
narcissist, probably.
that indeed, no, definitely.
He even did.
Um,
Did you know? He even did sex parties
oh, he
with
did. Yeah, yeah. No,
with at Private Ice
yeah. Oh, with Bobby. Yeah, yeah. Of
with
course.
Bobby.
I don't doubt it at all. Like, I mean, he's just the stereotypical lawyer. Like, I mean, greasy lawyer that's, again, um, there was lawyers in Jesus's day, and lawyers would come up. There would be Jewish lawyers that would try and challenge him on Judaism, and it was just crazy. So, I mean, again, there is a spiritual host of wickedness in the those people who are all about the law, but they just play games with the law is what they really do.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's a whole demonic area in that. But when it comes to the personal things, okay, so to revolutionize your own soul and to identify, because I mean, before you can solve anybody else's spiritual battle, you got to solve your own spiritual battle. You got to be, yeah, you have to deal with the demons that are in your own mind, your own heart, those points of unforgiveness, those points of things where that you've experienced that have created strongholds in your mind. We've talked about the whole strongholds thing before, right? Like, this is the enemy of humanity, like the devil and his demonic realm. They not only do they whisper in our ear with temptations and whisper in our ear with reasons to be selfish and narcissistic. The enemy will find some point in your life, and he will tell you to hold on to that. Hold on to that hatred. Hold on to that hurt. Do not forgive. Do not move past it. In fact, use that as a crutch or an excuse to go closer to the darkness. And so my stepfather, like the way he beat the heck out of me and my brother when we were growing up. He was drunk, alcoholic, just and a drug addict, and he was violent and abusive and all these things. And the abuse that I went through with him growing up was something that it affected my soul moving forward. And I was
Hmm.
always, yeah, when I started having, this is why I fell in love with the first girl I ever slept with, and I had two kids with her, three kids with her actually. um and again, and she was a psychotic, pathological liar. And to this day, it's just crazy, the trauma that I went through with my stepfather, the trauma that I went through with my son's mother. the trauma that I went through with Alma, the trauma that I went through with so many women that I was just completely committed to, wanted to be,
Yeah.
for the longest time, the
Yeah.
one half of my heart just wanted a good relationship with someone who loved me as much as I love them.
Hmm.
And at the same time, and at the same time, there were women that fell in love with me, and I didn't fall in love with them, and
Yeah.
I broke their heart. And when I saw myself being the villain, like I'm like, oh dang, this is not who I ever wanted to be. Like, I mean, I'm a idealistic, romantic, kind of, Prince Charming type of guy or Don Juan type of guy in my heart, but I ended up being a villain, hardcore, just angry individual, or just someone who's cold, and again, it sucks when we see
Yeah.
ourselves acting in the way that we, swore to ourselves we'd never be, and swore that that's not who we are. But again, until we can deal with the self confrontation and pull down the strongholds that the enemy has built in our mind and our soul, we're not going to, be able to build the kingdom. We're not going to be able to conquer, and we're not going to be able to get past those things, because the enemy still, anywhere the enemy has a foothold in your life, he's going to exploit that. He's going to use that against you. And so, in the book of Ephesians, the Apostle Paul talks about marriage, and he talks about, husbands and wives, they should submit to one another in the fear of God. And so a
Hmm.
husband should love God and a wife should love God, and each one should be willing to serve each other in the fear of God. But then after he says that, he gives direct instruction to wives. Wives, you should respect your husbands. Wives, you should submit to your husbands. Wives, you should do these things. And then he gives direct instruction to husbands. Husbands, you should love your wife like Christ loved the church. So how much does Jesus love the church? He goes all the way out on a limb, right? He goes he goes to all the way to the cross. To That's how much Christ loved the church, and so you should be willing to lay your life down for your wife, and
Hmm.
wives should be willing to submit and respect, fully, to their husbands. And at the end of that chapter, it's Ephesians chapter 5, he says, I'm telling you a great mystery. He says, this is a spiritual mystery that a lot of people don't understand. The relationship between husbands and wives is the earthly representation between God and the church. That
Wow.
so we Yeah, and it's, your relationship between the woman that God has brought into your life and the woman that you've made vows to, that relationship is supposed to be the amount of light. You were talking about being light bringers, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can't shine light if you are in a toxic, relationship with your wife. Like, this Kingdom Music is a Christian hip hop organization,
Okay.
and just recently, just a few weeks ago, the leader of Kingdom Music, this guy Brian Trejo, he's like the Christian Tupac, man. He's got excellent flows, and
Wow.
he was leading huge. Just he was doing ministry all over the country. But I guess a couple years ago, he cheated on his wife while he was on tour, and she just found out, and she just put him on blast publicly. And so this
Whoa.
yeah, this ministry that was affecting thousands of people's lives. I mean, like, there was all kinds of guys that have similar testimonies to mine. And when I went to the Kingdom Music conference, it was just like 500 dudes, all with that same type of testimony, that being thugs, being gangsters, being on the dark side of the dark side, and then getting saved. And Brian was a big influence to a lot of them. But then, and Brian, well, not only was he a Christian rapper, but he was a pastor. He was an ordained pastor. So this dude that was an ordained pastor and a Christian rapper, and this dude who was on mission all the time, going from city to city, just booking shows and having people just repent and throw, at the end of some of his rap, shows that he would do, there he would do an invitation, and people would just be throwing drugs down at the altar and giving their lives to God, and it was just
Wow.
amazing. But he,
Hey, Kenny, I'm
yeah,
so sorry.
yeah,
We'll fix this. I'm sorry. 1 second.
it's all
Hello?
good. It's all good.
Okay, we were talking about the narcissistic thing.
Yeah, yeah,
This island is pure narcissist. If you watch the Dateline special about these murders, there's a Dateline special about this.
yeah.
Um, you'll see the people describing that population. It was they say they call them the wanted and the unwanted, right? So you're just talking about purely bad lifestyle. You know what I mean? And you can probably say that a high percentage of purely bad lifestyle is narcissistic personality disorder or whatever, selfish disease, black holeness, right? Where
Yeah.
you're just a disaster to everyone around you and mostly to yourself.
Yeah.
And but that's everybody on this island. And
Sheesh.
they start drinking at 9 a.m. Full tall glasses of vodka, and
Dang.
they get 5 grams of cocaine for $25, and they're gonna have
Phew.
an excellent day,
Wow.
and pure stuff. So that's why they live here. And then you have some guy who, at the beginning of, you have some guy, they're still going, to hell at 4:35 a.m. And then you have this guy who's got freaking chiseled physique, and you know what I mean, gets running past them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So you can just
Yeah.
imagine the hate that generates, right? It was
Yeah.
funny. The story about this place is, if you're sitting with 3 people from,
In Saipan now, and with abdominal issues, and I'm like, oh, bro, like, and, he's feeling, and his girlfriend, he has a Filipino girlfriend there in Saipan, and she messaged me, and she's like, he's been super depressed and everything like that. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, it's time to, he's having to deal with this whole retirement thing, and he's not dealing with it very well. But I'm praying for him. I even linked him up with a pastor out there in Saipan. Hopefully he goes to church tomorrow morning. So this pastor is a former Marine Corps dude. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
uh,
Crazy stuff, brother.
move
Crazy
to the
stuff.
mountains, man, make a geographical switch. I
Yeah.
find it's like mountains and change places altogether. Change to a mountain that you
Yeah.
haven't
And,
been to.
no, a change of environment can make a huge difference. I mean, if you're surrounded by demons, if you're surrounded by negative, I mean, for me, I mean, I see clearly now that alcohol is the most pervasive demon in the modern world that we live in today. Like,
Well,
it is the most pervasive demon, and I mean, you got sugar, you got corporate greed, you got all these other capitalism, you
right.
got all, I mean, you got sex trafficking, you got all these things. But again, I don't believe there's any other demon on this planet that does more active damage to souls than the demon of alcohol.
And that's
Like,
Panama's pastime.
yeah, yeah, everywhere. I
That is
mean,
their main pastime.
like, everywhere you go, every strata of society, doesn't matter, the richest of the rich, the poorest of the poor, every family on this planet, alcohol is affecting it. I mean, in Islam, alcohol is banned in Islam. 2 billion people follow Muhammad, and they reject alcohol, and yet there's still problems with alcoholism within Muslim countries, like, because it's such I mean, it'll creep in.
I
Uh,
I was
uh,
in a bar in Bahrain on Liberty, right?
uh,
And there's a Muslim next to me, and I'm like, "Aren't you supposed to?"
yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, but."
Right? See, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It is the most seductive demon on the planet right now. Crystal meth is one thing. You got heroin, fentanyl, all this stuff that people are doing. Alcohol beats all of them. It even beats sugar. Like, everybody eats
It's
sugar,
the
right?
captain of the black magic, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And man, I mean, like, think of the darkest days that you had, or some of the things that you've done. You were probably on alcohol, right, when you did them. Like,
I've
man,
I've never really been a big drinker, but I you know, yeah, it's never been. There were when it's just the boys. Yeah, I agree with you, bro. You know what I mean. When I was younger, uh, there's been so much. I'll tell you this: the whole reason that that incident I was just telling you about, where the mother of this girl,
Yeah.
my girl, my once princess,
Yeah.
at 10 couldn't stop saying my daddy this and my daddy that and climbing all over me.
Yeah.
But the reason that she put the false report on me with the police is because the United States Navy was throwing a big holiday party and she wanted to go. And I said no. And she made me pay for that. She
Wow.
made me pay for that. And it was an all paid for drink
Yeah.
fest, food, all that stuff. And I was like, nope. And at that point, remember I told you I got baptized and I was super hardcore Christian, remember?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was that. I'm not gonna break my commitment. And she made me pay for that. And she tortured me and screamed at me every day in that house. Anytime, every day that I was there, I couldn't sleep. I had to go to work with no sleep. I'd sleep in the boat somewhere. I'd go walk off, run off and hide and sleep somewhere because
Yeah.
I was never able to sleep. And, yeah, that was absolute hell. And, when I would go on workup deployments, I went on
Yeah.
a workup deployment and came back, and she was a meth head, dude. She hid it from me. I didn't know that. People told me later, but it was already too late. I had a kid with her, and but
Interesting.
then yeah, she was actually. So I come back from a workup deployment, and when the boat pulls in, you're in your dress uniform. You know what I mean? You're standing, and they do this
Yeah.
thing
Parade
about
rest
the
and all
boat.
that. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a thing, right?
Yeah.
And we had been gone for a month and a half. She wasn't there. So, I get home. I'm in my uniform. There's five people getting ready to jump her. She's got my kid in her arms, and there's these five people, two big dudes screaming. I just go into old school Brandon
Combat mode.
mode.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they run off, and I'm fucking chasing them. You come, you want to fight? I'll fight you wherever with whatever. Fuck, if you come around my house, I'm gonna fucking kill all of you. And they were just like, holy shit. And later, the guy came back to see me at the mailboxes a month later, and he was like, she's been doing math. She told me that the kitten that we had messed up the blinds. And I remember I was like, damn, that's a strong kitten because the blinds were fucked
Oh,
up. You know
all
what I mean?
checked
And
up. It was her
alive.
peeking
I was
out.
like,
Peeker peeking out the window.
yeah, I was just like, I figured the kitten maybe got trapped and fought his way out or whatever. They told me she left my daughter in the house while she was with them partying meth in Bremerton, Washington,
Wow.
and left my daughter in there crying. And it was my daughter that ripped up the blinds.
Wow.
CPS, another neighbor called CPS because she brought two teenagers in, gave them beer and alcohol. CPS shows up 2 days after I chased the people off. And I'm
Wow.
like, well, I'm here now. Please don't do anything. She's like, all right, I'm going to say you seem like a really great guy, so I'm going to squash this.
Yeah.
But these people are not going to put up with this shit. So you better get your household under control.
Yeah.
That lady is pissed. And she came over and talked to me personally later and filled out this whole form, right? And I left put her social security number, her address, and everything. I left the paper that she gave me with my mom, who's also a nurse, who I started to trust again. Oh, by the way, my mom is the reason this kidnapping happened. She was the nail in the coffin. Because they
Wow.
got together on me. She was right,
Yeah.
and because these evil people, they have to turn around and stab somebody in the back pretty constantly. And anyway, my dad came down and told me, just a couple of trips. She was like, your mom always wanted a girl. She didn't want a boy, so that's why she's doing this. And uh, and
Huh.
anyway,
Uh,
my mom threw away the paper.
Your birth
Years
certificate?
ago.
Uh,
No, the paper that the lady. Oh, my mom helped destroy all the evidence of what the real story was,
oh, the
and
CPS? Uh,
yeah, and
oh,
she fully knows, dude, that I'm the coolest dad in the world. That kid loved the hell out of me. That I'm 10 times the parent and 10 times the person of her mom. She fully
yeah,
knows it all, but
yeah.
she goes with this completely fake, fabricated, fucked up narrative that has been. Dude, I was sending them.
And that, Melissa, right? Is that
Yeah,
your baby mama? So,
yeah, you remember her, right?
yeah, yeah, Melissa. I do vaguely, like
Claire told me,
in the
dude.
few like things that times I was conscious and I saw you two together. I do remember. Yeah.
Dude, Claire told me one time. I remember it clear as day. She was like, "Why are you with her? She's an awful person."
Wow.
Just like that. Yeah.
That's crazy. Dude, I mean, we knew quite a bit. I mean, again, there's a whole strain of Albuquerque psychotic women. That there's a whole history of that. But in New Mexico, really, I mean, I'd say New Mexico is known for a lot of things, and psychotic women, I believe, is one of the things that New Mexico is known for. But
Well, I think I like what you said before, and I think we're all fighting the selfish disease. You know
yeah.
what I mean? And it seems like the test of life to me. It's just
Well,
like, go for it, devil.
yeah. So
Let's
how
see
to
who you can
overcome?
get.
How to overcome? I mean, yeah. I mean, do you see yourself staying being a monk for the rest of your life, or do you actually want to have a marriage, like eventually, like a real marriage, like do you want to be in a good relationship with someone who supports you and you support them and you guys support each other together and you guys are I mean and you guys can build that bond and
Well,
have
I
that.
understand. I've heard in other contexts the importance of marriage, and then what you just said about, that's like God's relationship with the church and everything. So I want to fulfill my commitments to God, and I would love to meet someone like that, absolutely. But I don't know what that looks like. So
Yeah,
I have a hard time even
yeah.
answering the question because I don't even know what that looks like, and I've kind of come up with this thing where
Women are
I'm
evil. Like, I mean, I believe in your core. I mean, your spirit has been convinced that women in general are evil,
maybe.
and I believe that even if a woman that you might be talking to, even you have gotten some strongholds built in your mind, some trauma done in your heart, that even you might start talking to some girl and she might not be evil, but something
Yeah.
that she might do might just trigger you, to where you're like, well, why did you just do that? Yeah, and it might
And
just be
yeah,
something.
but I wouldn't do anything violent. Like I'm not gonna hurt a
No,
woman.
no, it's
Yeah.
not that you've been
And I
violent,
don't hate them.
but I could see how like it might make you just chirp out and say like, hey, you know
Yeah.
what, this isn't gonna work. I gotta go. you know,
Yeah.
uh, and again, if if you're gonna allow the Holy Spirit to do a work in your life,
Yeah.
and if you're gonna trust your life to God, and again, if you want to experience what a bit of the kingdom is like I can tell you, I mean, I'm blessed, bro. I'm blessed to have,
Yeah.
in the book of Proverbs, it says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing. But in the book of Proverbs, it also talks about the horror of a nagging wife, right? Like it
Yeah.
says it's better to live on a roof than in a house with a nagging wife. So yeah, I mean, it goes both ways. Um, but I want that for you, bro. I want it because I mean, it's one thing to have brothers that have your back all the time. It's a beautiful thing, and
Yeah.
it's one thing I see in the mastermind group too. A lot of we got a lot of single guys who are struggling, like who are trying to overcome the trauma of the past, and it might be by say, well, I got to get super physically fit, or I got to get rich. I got to make these
Yeah.
things. I got to get into hustle culture. Is that what's going to bring me to a point where I can be happy in life? Like, I mean, what are you striving for? If you're striving, Like, and the thing is that that's why, I mean, I said the other day that that love makes you fat. Because like when you do fall in love with someone who loves you, and you can see that they don't have an ulterior motive, they're not trying to destroy you, they just love being around you, and you love being around them. I mean, it does kind of, like, you don't need to kill your body every day. You don't need to strive and get all kind. You're already rich. You're already, it kind of fulfills a chunk in your soul, that all the striving, all the grind culture in the world will never fill. It's
Actually,
not,
dude, I want to open up orphanages and alternative agricultures for
dude.
kids that
Seeing,
were, huh?
I mean, again, though, that vision for doing something like that. I mean, I was just thinking, like, when I was watching that show with the people trying to win $5 million, like. Like, what would you do if you won $5 million, right? You would, I mean, would you change the lives of as many orphans as you could possibly change, and provide a place for them to grow? And I mean, that's what that guy that I watch on YouTube, Bear Independent, his ministry called Caleb House is all about saving kids out of human trafficking, like, and shutting down human trafficking rings. Like, so he's connected with some high level tactical operators that are into the shutting down part, but he's also connected with a bunch of people who are all licensed trauma therapists, counselors, and he focuses on not just doing bad things to bad people, but also doing ministry to help the kids that get. I mean, and sure, in Central America, man, like it's almost a part of the economy, right? Like, human trafficking is that,
Yeah.
and it's a scary
Well,
thing.
yeah, there's a horrid facets of culture, and yeah, yeah, it's
And
abusive.
and it's so to have a vision like that, so that's a real purpose. That's a God honoring, God glorifying purpose in life, to say, I'm not, I believe that God has called me for such a time as this, to speak to this specific evil and do something about it, right?
Right.
Dealing with kids in poverty, like this is what the legacy of the guy. There's a guy named George Mueller. I'll send you a link to his bio. But he was in the 1800s in England, and that's what he did. He opened orphanages in England, and and he left a legacy for years and years of there's still a Mueller orphanage in Bristol, England right now. um, and so, like, yeah, bro. I mean, if God's calling you to do something like that, will definitely be calling you to. I mean, I believe that there's a wife that God has for you, that'll see your vision and honor you for that and be your support, to that. But until you bring down these strongholds in your heart, this pain and this hatred I mean, that I believe that, that
I
it's
don't know if
just,
it's hatred. I think
or
distrust for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, distrust, bring down these things, this trauma that you have, and deal with it. I mean, and so, like, for me with my stepdad, and with women, really, like, for me, it was having to go to God, and really, submit myself to the reality of who God is. Like, I didn't, yeah, I wasn't able to do it on my own. I wasn't able to fix my own brokenness. Like, it was something that I had to appeal to a higher power, to a divine spirit of forgiveness, and this divine spirit uh, um, of transformation. Like, so if you want to do that, if you want to be prepared for receiving the blessings that I believe God has already given you, but God has more for you, bro. I mean, again, I believe that, we, are together, are going to, change the world. Like, I
Hell yeah,
believe
bro.
that
Let's do it.
I believe that God has called us to lock arms and kick back the boundaries of
I
ignorance.
get that. I get that feeling too, dude. I actually really do. I've thought that just in interesting times throughout interesting days, about 50 of them, I've felt that. Shoot,
So
Breaking Bad, bad breaking 10 levels higher than the writers could ever come up with, right?
indeed, indeed. Did you ever see the movie, the El Camino movie that they did? Like it was like the continuation or like the closing of the story of Jesse. And I kind of like how that ended. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty crazy. But because Jesse Pinkman, like of all the characters in the show, like Jesse's life, the way he got. I mean, you could see one of the things I really appreciate about the show is how they wrote the character of Jesse. Because I knew people, I still know people that are just like Jesse Pinkman.
Is Jesse the student?
The kid, yeah. He's like, yeah, Mr.
Hmm.
bitch. That was his. But again, I dealt those are the people that I dealt with. Like I had a whole crew of Jessies, like in my life, and it
Yeah.
was. But and again, there were times, like in the show, when if you watch the show, you'll see where he's conflicted. He doesn't want to live this life. He doesn't want to do these dark things. He doesn't want to go to these dark places, and yet he feels trapped. He has to, and he does wicked, horrible things, and that he never wanted to do. He just in so many ways, a victim of circumstance. And so these people that I'm going into prison to minister to right now, to try and help them get a frame of mind that to understand that the world doesn't have to be that way. It's you don't
Yeah.
always have to be in fight or flight mode. You don't always have to be trying to come up with some kind of scheme or plan. There's better ways to live. Um,
Hmm.
and I mean, when I see just the brokenness in the world, I believe I have been called for such a time as this to kick in
Yeah.
those boundaries of ignorance and bring people out of the darkness and into the light. And I believe we can do it together by all means, brother. And I want to see you blessed and restored and completely established, bro. I mean, and and I'm down to help you in any way, bro. But the reality is, God can do more than me or more than you can do. So we need to trust in the author,
Well,
and
dude, I
trust.
totally do. And I think you'll like this response, and it's completely true. I think we do that by telling the truth. I think that people can exponentially learn from another person's story, should they have that right cognition, right? To where they're
Yeah,
humble and they can learn and they're not suffering the narcissism, the selfish disease, and or they're overcoming it, because I think it's the grand test. I think that God said, "Here's a holodeck. There's a devil. You don't remember your pre-existence. Go ahead, take all the souls you want. Leave me the ones that beat your evil, because I'm trying to build paradises, and I need those. So go ahead, take what you're gonna take, and too bad for
yeah,
them. They get their own free will to be lost or to be saved, and I have felt called to tell the truth for a long time, and I've also felt that I have not stepped up to the plate. So I really feel fulfilled by doing these videos with you, and I want to keep doing them and then make them better and then have a master production at the end with some more experts involved.
yeah,
And I think that this could be one of several vehicles that you and I could use to do this incredible calling that we both seem to be hearing. And and this jungle agriculture alternative thing, dude, is the answer. When I could see clearly that because I wanted to rip someone's head. I was standing in line to buy a hot sauce, and someone had cut in front of me just after my kid was kidnapped, and I kind of was getting healthy again.
yeah,
And dude, it was like I was just like, oh my god, like another premonition came. It's just like you're at a fork of the road, and there's something really trying to put you in jail for the rest of your life right now. And I just put my hands in my pockets. I grabbed my thighs, and I I walked off, and then an angel came into my life, and long story short, a couple skips down, I went and lived in the jungle, dude. I had a beard.
Yeah,
I was
yeah, man.
dirty. I was a
Yeah.
total hermit jungle thing, and God gave me a download out there, man. I was actually known as the shovel punisher, and in that particular farm, they're just like,
Yeah.
leave that guy alone. Go drop off shovels at that
You would
kitchen out
destroy the
there.
shovels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and oh, dude, I got some of it on video. I was carving freaking pieces of art into sides of the mountains and shit. Doing everybody's irrigation channels,
Wow.
going and doing backhoe stuff where the backhoe couldn't go. You know what I mean? And
Wow.
people were, hey, but it was like I had constant work, and I didn't touch a computer or a
Yeah.
phone. I didn't have a phone. I didn't have a bank account.
Yeah.
I had dirty clothes and a wad of cash somewhere around in my small backpacker pack of stuff. And just because, and people
Get
would be like,
supplies.
hey, dude, we need you to go do this. We need you to go do that. All right, no problem. And I just put my headphones in, and dude, it was just, I don't like a cocky person that always patting himself on the back. I don't want to be that, but it was crazy, dude. Like, with the download about nutrition that God gave me, that no one on earth is doing to the level that I was doing then. I need to get back to it, actually. And dude, I looked like I was on steroids. I was fucking Rambo times 10, and what I could do with a shovel and a machete in one day was just blowing everyone's mind. They were just like, that just doesn't even make sense, and I would hear them on the phone with people like, yeah, holy shit, you're right. That's quite impressive. Like, because people were like, you see what he did? Oh, a lot of these old, anyway, so it's just, and now I've had the screaming call at me. That's why I built the website and everything, and I'm trying to get out. And if you look at the last video on the nutritional diversity YouTube, it's with this indigenous woman in Colombia.
Yeah, yeah, I saw
And
that.
dude,
Yep.
just 3 times before that, she gave me this big hug. I love her. We're super close. Anyway, and she just looked at me and she was just like, you have been called to get my mission finished. Get it
Wow.
done. And I was just like, dude, I want to cry telling you the story. And it
Wow.
was just like, oh,
Do
like,
it. Yeah.
and her story, she comes from a tribe called right by the Brazil Amazon chunk, and of Colombia, but right by the end near Brazil and the Amazon of Colombia, completely unpopulated area, total jungle tribe. And her and 10 other young people, 30 years ago, before this conversation, we're saying, okay, you go here, you go here, you go here, you go here. It is time to restore our methods of life in harmony with nature and start telling these idiots how their shit sucks. You know what I mean? And how they're
Yeah.
demonic,
Yeah,
under
yeah.
demonic influence. And this is how you're supposed to live. Well, she's been through hell, right? She's been through just straight uphill battle to try to do this. And I don't know how old she looks like she's like 50 or 60, or maybe even, she could be even 70 or 80 at this point.
Yeah.
But she is looking at me because she's eating so healthy and she's so spiritual. She's probably looks a lot younger than she is. But she's definitely looking at me with these eyes of an 80-year-old, just like, my life mission is not complete but yet here you are. and we, because we've known each other for a long time, you
Yeah.
know, and
And where does she live at? She lives on not on the island or uh,
no,
or
this is a mountain outside of Medellin, Colombia, and uh,
so
we found out and basically she's just looked. So she's sent to this region, right?
yeah.
And she's looking around. All right, where am I going to start my agriculture? Finds this brilliant ecology. The same reason I'm there, dude.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, whoa, how is that species all of a sudden on steroids right there? I'm like calculating, is it wind? No, it's what
Yeah.
the fuck is going on here? You know what I mean? And she just recently found out that the quartz content of that mountain is huge. It's just hugely percentage wise dense in quartz.
Yeah.
Quartz is called, she doesn't even know Rudolf Steiner's biodynamic agriculture. She knows probably the agriculture that he wrote that off of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pre
Yeah.
Rudolf Steiner biodynamic agriculture, which calls for quartz. Anyway, we don't understand how this all works, but we understand more than most. And
Yeah.
the mineral content, we understand those same species are all over this region, and in this area they're just a whole nother caliber.
Hmm.
And so she has one of the most advanced, most beautiful small alternative agricultures I've ever seen, and it's just her and one helper that does this. And yeah, she produces
And
yeah,
and
it's
what she I mean she plans like her desire was to change the world with her I mean with through agriculture, is that I mean is that what her vision was that
it's part of it. But
uh,
remember, these people don't call it agriculture. They call it a symbiotic existence in nature.
ah
You're right. Like
yeah
instead of
okay
being separated from nature and having this agriculture system, which actually the one that we have is it's a plague, dude. You can see the square circle agriculture that you see from an airplane. That's modern agriculture. It's called monoculture. It's
yeah
just the same plant planted over and over again for however long.
yeah
And
huge crops yeah
we
like
didn't get where we got the idea from, the devil. You know what I
yeah
mean? Because that
I
is
mean but
that's
so
step one for enslaving people.
but in
That's step one for
monoculture agriculture has been the driving force of the explosion of population, has it not? Like, so we have 8 billion people on the planet because of monoculture agriculture. No,
I don't think so. I
no,
think that's what's been
could be because
said.
rice is the largest monoculture agriculture,
Yeah, rice
and
and then corn. And you and I, growing up in the land of enchantment,
yeah, the maize. Yeah,
we saw that the indigenous had corn gods. They worshipped corn,
yeah, yeah,
and they did monoculture. They eventually had a three sisters system where they did pumpkin, corn, and I think it was frijoles together, right?
yeah.
But uh, the vine based frijole, right? This that was because, well, I don't know. I don't think they would have been able to get away with complete corn monoculture.
Because I mean,
So
because like what do you call it? Diverse, biodiverse agricultural pursuits. I mean, so the whole idea is not to rearrange the landscape, right? It's to leave the landscape as it is. That's the idea. Is
yeah, it's
or
in
that
harmony with, if you look at if you look at the world God made,
yeah,
it's thousands of organisms growing in harmony together, right?
yeah,
Right, all these different things, and they need each other, and that diversity is super important for humans, for animals, for plants. If you don't have that diversity, you're sick, you're going out the door. You know what I
yeah,
mean? That's what I'm saying. As far as I can tell, um agriculture came after gathering. Gathering came before
yeah,
hunting. You
yeah,
know what I mean? So
yeah,
gathering is eating from the nature's garden. Genesis 1:29 says, I give you all seed bearing plants to use for food. All.
yeah.
You know what I
True.
mean? And we can
Yep.
actually derive the stuff. I actually have a famous jungle juice out here. A lot of
Yeah.
my people that actually listen to my modern day psychopathy, or crazy talk, right? But it's actually everyone's crazy and I'm not.
Yeah.
Because but I make a jungle juice that's derived from wild nature. And bro, that's how you carve. That's how you do the backhoe
Yeah.
with two arms,
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm just wondering, is because by all means, I believe
Mhm.
small people groups with like, so you say you have a tribe of 300 people and you have 100 acres of untouched, unmanipulated land, and you cultivate the agriculture that's in the land as it is, right? That's the idea
Well, how
of
about this?
biodiversity. Yeah.
How about yeah, you can cultivate because you can get better. There's a human nature relationship to where we can enhance nature. We can
Yeah.
make the soil more healthy. We can make compost. We can gather stuff together. We can make a
Yeah.
more natural cultivation. And I would say just cultivate goodies and treats,
Yeah.
natural goodies and treats, right?
Dates or whatever.
And then we
Yeah.
can
The fig tree.
but how about this?
Yeah.
Don't cultivate anything. Don't cultivate anything.
Okay.
Eat what's there.
Hmm. But so I mean, if you're dealing with New Mexico, right? So New Mexico without monoculture agriculture, I don't know if you can. I mean, because there's nothing there. It's mostly just tumbleweeds.
No, you'd have to go to the mountains.
Yeah. So in order for us to be, but again, so this is the thing we have medical where we've divided. I mean, we have normalized the like so human beings used to die in childbirth at an alarming rate and
Yeah.
that has been brought way down. So the advances that we've had in medical research have enabled human beings to live to not die in childbirth, to where there's more people being born than are dying. And this is why we've surpassed 8 billion population per estimated population on the planet.
Well,
For and
long answer short, I really do believe that alternative in tune with nature could outperform
yeah,
monoculture.
yeah,
I really
okay.
do. Yeah,
Uh,
I think the true purpose of monoculture is to enslave humans. I think that
well, I mean, so I mean, the reason why we have 8 billion people, it might be because we need a bunch of slaves or something like because that's
that could be I don't
uh,
know if we
like
would produce we would probably would we produce less in a life of less comfort and convenience? Probably.
uh,
But
but
according to
I
now,
mean, do you remember the thing on the? Did you ever see the conspiracy theory about the Georgia Guidestones? There was this like
yeah,
Stonehenge type thing, and it talked about reducing the population of the world to 500,000 or
yeah,
500 million or something like that. Yeah, and making but again, so that was like so if you have this ruling class then you need slaves to support the ruling class because
exactly. But if
you,
we become free,
again so are we trying so some people are that are called um, Christian Reconstructionists or they believe that we're supposed to set up heaven on earth and we're supposed to bring about this
well, this is
theolo
it. This is
theological
it.
utopia.
This is it,
I
Kenny.
like
This is
I,
it, dude.
my
Because
only thing is, am I confident that that's even possible? Because according to if the prophecies in the scripture are true, um, and I believe they are. If the
Mhm.
prophecy of the revelation is true, like the times of the Antichrist, the times of the Antichrist are quick approaching, and they might even actually be here. And according
well,
to the words of the prophecy, the power of the Antichrist is going to be to enslave the world, and he's going to bring
yeah.
everyone into one economic system, right? So there's going to be a one world government, a one world economic system, and a one world religion. And all three of those things are going to take place when the Antichrist takes power. Like, so you're going to see this a global catastrophe that's going to bring
And that's
everybody
probably
together.
And that's probably why I'm being screamed at from above constantly, every direction, dude, to get this nutritional diversity stuff out there. Because if the world does what I did and
Yeah.
leaves the city and goes and enhances nature, you know what I mean, and lives the way I did, they'll be stronger, they'll be
Yeah.
healthier, they'll be more spiritually inclined, they'll be more responsible. You know what I mean? They'll see the interconnectedness of everything and they'll embrace it rather than this me shit. You know what
Yeah.
I
So
mean? And
you know the book of Revelation, right? So
mhm.
in the book of Revelation, in chapter 18, it talks about the fall of Babylon the Great. So
Okay.
Babylon is narcissism embodiment, right? So
Right.
Babylon is narcissism as a world system, right? So the whole system of capitalism, you could say. So capitalism, it's all about getting money, like pimping hoes, being getting the Bugattis and all the stuff.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
world system, bro. And again, in Revelation 18, the world system falls, it crumbles. In one day, it all gets burnt, and God's judgment is poured out upon Babylon the Great, and it says in the book that all the nations of the world weep because of the destruction of Babylon the Great, and all the kings of the earth weep because there's no one to buy their goods anymore because the consumer force of the world has been destroyed in one day. And so this whole system, but okay, and it says for the people of God to come up out of Babylon, lest you fall into her temptations. And so what the rise in a lot of the prepper groups that I follow, a lot of them are Christians that believe in homesteading, growing your
Yeah.
own crops, raising your own animals, like that one that I shared you. That guy, where was he at in Costa Rica or somewhere? But yeah, his whole thing is to come up out of the world system because the world system is like an Ouroboros. It's a self-devouring snake, and it's going to divide. It's going to destroy itself, and when it falls, the whole world's going to feel it, and it's going to be catastrophic. It's going to be Judgment Day, and that's going to be the beginning of the bowl judgments that you see. The four horsemen of the apocalypse are released, and you see all this trauma that falls upon the world. All that stuff's going to come, and so those people who are called by God to come up out of the system are going to need biological diversity plans, and they're going to need structures of community that are healthy and that are built on honor and dignity and respect and love and peace, and at the same time, while we can build a community based on peace, we can also defend with the sword against those that are evil and try to bring darkness into the system. And I mean this is the whole, like a lot of the different things that I follow on YouTube, a lot of the channels that I subscribe to, the prepper channels in particular, they're talking about being prepared for the time when all the comforts of this modern world go away, because they can and they will. And if you're not able to live outside of the comforts of this modern world, you and your family are going to suffer and die, or going to be brought into slavery. So they talk about how when this catastrophic event happens, Babylon the Great falls, the government of the world is going to be combined into one. And that's when you're going to have the mark of the beast in order to buy or sell. You're going to
Right.
have to become a slave of the Antichrist and his government. Or,
Well,
you know,
bro, maybe, I don't know, maybe we are the modern Moses because I'll show you how to eat, bro. You know what I mean?
all
And
right, how to
I'll
live.
show you the manna. And in fact, and it's interesting that I'm here in Panama, brought by a saint, my uncle, right? And because even if there's nuclear catastrophe or whatever, it's not
Yeah,
going to contempt Panama's the region, the equator zone, where my friend Rosa that we were just talking about, up to right where I am now. That
yeah.
exact region is where
The safe zone
the
is below there. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It's the non-contamination zone. It's the purification
Yeah.
equator is a purification, right? Contaminants in northern or southern hemisphere will just rotate back up with
Yeah.
the weather patterns. So anyway,
Yeah.
and bro, right now for 30, I got a guy, right of possession, one family, inheritance, several generations, who's gonna give me the prime, fucking dude, come on, most beautiful eye of Ojo de Agua,
Yeah.
spring right there, no, nothing around for miles, perfectly curated indigenous trail access up to the area. You'll have to trucha in with the machete just a little bit, but he will sell me that whole six. I've negotiated this over the last 2 years. That whole
Let's go.
six for 30. Wonderful World Bank. But here, the thing that I wrote 5 years ago something called guerrilla permaculture, where it's like I specifically wrote at the top, do this on land you don't own, because it's just like you didn't make that. You know what I mean? Somebody stuck a flag, wrote a paper, and then made a scam out of that. You know what I mean? You're supposed to respect that. You're supposed to say thank you, like the Hopi, like the New Mexicans, like
Yeah.
us.
Oh, indeed. Yeah. Yep.
You're supposed to say
And so,
thanks and make the best of it and enhance it. Exactly what I'm saying. And then, and out there, you got to walk. It's 2.5 hour, probably 3 hour hike out there through the jungle. You have to pick a good day to go. You know what I mean? And a good weather-wise, leave early in the morning, right, and all that. But and to build structures, you'd have to helicopter it or get the $11 a day indigenous chain gang, no problem.
yeah.
10 guys, $100, right? And just start marching materials out there, get a few structures. But dude,
Get a
that's
helicopter
another one
pad,
that's
bro.
kicking me.
I definitely want to get a helicopter pad out there. So
There is one. There is one. There was actually a search and rescue that happened, and the helicopter was able to land within eyesight of this area that I'm talking about.
Wow.
On a plateau hill thing that they landed,
Wow.
no problem. But anyway, that is screaming at me too to get that thing done. And the soldier, my indigenous killer friend, that it was the right hand man of my 80-year-old gringo who's been written about in 5 books and traveled a lot. He's in Colombia right now. Incredible guy. His name's Alan. Anyway, his right hand man, when he was managing a big farming operation here in Panama, is this indigenous guy. And I sent him out. I said, dude, find me these specifications somewhere. And dude, he comes back with this. And wow. I guess timing's everything in the fight of life. And I've been praying, these guys will probably take a $500 payment a month or something. Who knows? I got to work out something and get some kind of money in these guys' hands and some kind of contract to hold this thing or whatever. Then this product.
I mean, it's not posted on Zillow or anything, right? So
no, no one will have interest in this area.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And definitely no one that would have interest in this area would be able to come up like an Indian might, but he will never be able to come up with the amount of money that we will. So this guy will hold out.
Yeah.
But I got to come up with 30K and give him this thing and get this document. And then I really got to come up with 130K, dude, so I can build a few structures, get a Pendleton wheel on that river, start generating, get a Starlink out there, live there, manage it, light the match, right? Get the fire going. You know what I mean? Get it. But anyway, that I want to just do a natural enhancement, bro, where I just enhance what's already there. Yeah, we'll have our goodies, as I said before. Slowly but surely we'll have our goodies. But like here, this particular place, I brought in 70 species. I've been doing on this place forever, dude. All the wildlife. This is a regular stop for all the wildlife on the island. There's there's monkeys all over this property, all over the place. People come here and they're like, "Why is it like this? Why is it like this?" Maybe I tell them, maybe I don't. When you walk by a permaculture, it could be just a jungle to you. You don't know. It's just it's a pick your own jungle. That's what a permaculture is. I'm growing in diversity as God showed me to do, and I'm just selecting a few of the species. Right. But like I said, we don't even need to do that, man. We can take nutrition from what's already growing on everywhere. You know what I mean? Everything is a toxin and a remedy on this natural earth. It's the dose that decides. So you just got to learn, figure out the right mixtures, and you've got a superfood. And guess what? Not sprayed with cancer-causing chemicals. Bonus. Doesn't support slavery. Bonus. You know what I mean? Outperforms right now a billion times over monoculture. Right now.
And what
You know
do
what I
you
mean? So,
and what about livestock? Is there, a biodiverse way to do livestock, or is
well,
it
like I
basically?
said, dude, as soon as you start bringing in all the species and you're the happening place, the livestock will come to you. You
Mm,
know what I mean? It sucks that you'll have to harvest a few of them. You know what I
yeah.
mean? They weren't coming for that. But if you're ethical about it, it's all
Yeah, yeah,
good. You know what I
yeah,
mean? If you're not taking an adolescent out of his life and you're
yeah,
taking a fully grown, has all his life's experiences starting to get older,
yeah, yeah.
you know what I mean?
Well,
Starting to go into those
I mean, you have chickens and stuff, right? Like, is that like?
velociraptors. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you Velociraptor. That's right. That's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
no, dude, I got the chicken system. I've come up with one of the most advanced chicken systems there
and they're
is.
so they're are they pretty happy that I mean they're pretty healthy, like they're
Super
thriving.
happy,
Yeah,
super
yeah,
productive,
yeah.
super
So
chickies everywhere.
there's a big difference in the quality of eggs when the quality of the chickens are super healthy, and the what they eat is diverse. They're not just eating corn all the time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's what I mean. My nutrition or diversity system is best for the animals. You know,
yeah.
wild game meat is the best meat, right? And that's because it's getting a nutritional diversity.
The grass fed,
And
yeah, yep,
and if you look at all the Satanism, it's not just with crops. If you look at social culture, they're trying to monocrop us too, man. Everybody is
yeah,
standing in line in a penguin suit with a noose tied around their neck or a dog chain or you know what I mean? Like when
yep,
Diddy came, when they played that clip of Puff Daddy
yeah.
saying, "We decide what you wear. We decide what we decide," and they're in a Lucian is the name
Luciferian,
of the
yeah,
guy always in red glasses, and they have
yeah,
a gay cult. I
yeah.
mean,
No, no, it is like I mean the demonic corporate oligarchy elite, like it's all some sick twisted stuff, man. And that's what I see taking over the country right now. So I
and
mean,
but we were. I was in it. I was in it. I was like, unfortunately, I didn't buy any Bugattis, but unfortunately, I was just going to become the most hardcore, violent person, and
yeah.
then jerk off in front of all the hardcore, violent people. You know what
Right,
I
yeah,
mean? I'm the most, or
yeah.
whatever. You know
That's
what I
how, I
mean?
mean, that's how Diddy did it, right? Yeah, I mean, but again,
Totally.
see, that's how it ends, right? I mean, you see how that ends. Like there's not a good ending to that road. I mean, it's
Oh
dark.
well,
It's a path of darkness that leads to deeper levels of darkness, and it
and
never
that's
really
and that's
ends.
the other thing I struggle with this kid, with my daughter, is like, one, abusive situation like a motherfucker. Two, she saved my life, dude. When she was coming, I found out I had a princess on the way, and I've never had family before, and
Yeah,
I have this thought. Oh wow, and then that's when I got baptized, right before
yeah,
she was born, and that's
yeah,
when I made the hardcore Christian commitment to leave Albuquerque and give her the best life that I possibly could. And that was all I
yeah,
was going to do. And then, dude, check this out. So I pay her mom her own 2 bedroom. And then I show up one time, there's beer bottles and fucking the twin sisters all meth cracked. I could tell she was cracked out on something. They're both all cracked out. The girl's 6 months pregnant. I'm not paying for this apartment. Get out of here. Like, go back to your family. Do something to where, you know what I mean? This isn't happening. And so then when I am in the open heart surgery room with my 6-month-old who has a birth defect,
wow,
and mom is filling out a honesty thing that's paying her $500 to be honest about drug use and alcohol in the room with this child with the wires coming out of her chest and all this, right? And
yeah,
the child is, that night, I'm sleeping at the hospital. She's going home, right? 20 minutes down the road. You know what I mean? I'm staying at the hospital a whole 24 hours, everything. You know what I mean? The minute she can be pulled around in the little red wagon, the little red flyer wagon over there that they have, as soon as I can put her in there and pull her around, that's what, that minute, like that's what's in my head, you know? And then the other thing that was in my head is she's looking at me with the wires before I can put her in the red flyer, and she's squeezing the living shit out of my finger. Is holy shit, your mother is the same whore as mine. They're the same lady. You know what I mean? And you're gonna suffer the same way. And so I do, and my dad will tell you, everybody will tell you, I moved mountains for this kid to not get stuck in the fucking trashy situation that she got stuck in. And but the whole system, the whole system was set up to prevent me. She only had to file one. I mean, I went to court, lost 35 grand, got my rights established. She got cussed out. The judge attached to the cuss out order to it. But all she had to do was write one fake letter at a fake address, one false claim, and have it served to a fake address. And she had a veteran who just got done training 10,000, 2 boats ready to deploy up. You know what I mean? And who was notoriously awarded in the Persian Gulf for mission, for combat oriented goodness, excellence, and from a strike group admiral, not a joke, right? Left E5, came right in 3.5 years. That's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at this. I've said it before, an excellently executed timeline, except the points where my relationship with my daughter was getting fucked with, or where she was getting fucked with by her own mother over and over and over and over, just like what was happening to me my whole life.
So I think there might have been a point. Well, I mean, so there's already a hard.
Check this out though, dude. In this particular case, she has Elizabeth Smart syndrome, Stockholm syndrome. She thinks that her abuser is her hero. How could you? That is an accurate description of modern population.
But let's back it up to you and Melissa, right? Yeah. So you and Melissa, you get together. She gets pregnant. And Melissa's, obviously got all kinds of issues, and
she's got narcissistic personality disorder. She takes an MMPI-2 test. She's going to score just exactly like Amber Heard.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So again. So when you committed your life, but you never really committed to Melissa, right?
I did. I put a $1,700 rock on her finger. I baptized her, and she never had any. But that was just months before all those stories I told you about the meth use, and it was just all lies, dude. If her mouth is open, there ain't nothing but lies coming out of that thing.
Yeah. Okay. I mean.
She's the princess of deception.
I mean, not that I haven't seen the same thing, bro. I've seen, I have seen,
And if you call her on it, she'll simply be like, "No, I built an empire in Philly." She was like, "You did not build an empire in Philly." I was like, "Dude, fucking look up that on tax records, you stupid piece of shit." I was just working for the child. You lost her inheritance. I could give a fuck about the buildings. Losing my kid was so painful. Losing a $2 million.
I mean, I still think that there's a thing there. Like, there was a fracture at some point in your old relationship. Maybe it's something that triggered some argument that you guys had. Because I mean, if she was willing, you put the ring on her finger, you baptized her. There was all these things. I mean,
she's sick. She's Amber Heard. Why did Amber Heard do all that shit to Johnny Depp? You are with the #1 stud in the world. Why would you do that?
Right.
Why would you do that?
Indeed. And why?
and then remember when he forked out the $1 million that none of us have to fork out to show the truth. Dude, if you asked her today to tell the truth about what she pulled, she wouldn't do it. We already all know. And she even said to, what's her name on the Vice or something, "I will go to my deathbed, never changing my story," which we all know is a lie.
So what
I
do we
mean,
learn?
this
What do we
to
learn from
me.
those situations? Like
Mhm,
my son's mother. I mean, just she's just crazy psycho. Like, I mean,
mhm.
complete pathological liar. You know, I mean, she actually graduated to becoming a full-on opioid addict over the past 10, 15 years or so. Both her brother and her dad died of fentanyl overdose. Um, and you know, I can't do anything for her.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm not harboring any animosity towards her because again, these people
And I wouldn't be either, except for the child abuse.
well,
That
I mean,
is continuing
no, I mean,
continuing
and the child
effective.
abuse happened with both of my sons. I mean, she left them, she abandoned them. My younger son, the one that's in jail right now,
Yeah,
he was sent to charter like the mental hospital for kids,
I
like
was
sh
there.
yeah,
Three,
yeah.
three. Yeah.
So she sent him there multiple times when he was a
All not,
kid,
dude.
and
Once the narcissist figures out, oh, I don't have to do my job and I can get an extra check. Because
paycheck,
what
right?
happens is,
Yeah,
as soon as their person's admitted, as soon as that child's admitted to full patient, they get a beneficiary check from Social Security disability. That's what people don't
yeah.
understand.
No,
They don't have to do their job.
she got his for years, and then
Yeah.
until he moved in with me, and then it got cut off. But it
In
was like,
fact, they don't even have to be admitted for that check. They get the check once the diagnosis happens.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
the admission, they incarcerate their own children just so they don't have to do their job.
But at the same time, like, I believe that anything is possible. I believe that the worst piece of crap individual on this planet
Yeah.
still can have a moment of clarity that changes their entire worldview. And also with relationships with kids, I don't care what it is.
Well,
I
let
know
me
this.
ask you this.
Hmm.
Would that person have to tell the truth about all the lies and deception to the currently abuse
So
product of abuse
when the
to free
epiphany,
them from their
so when
falsehood?
take the darkest, devilish, most evil woman or man,
Mhm.
that person would have to come in contact with the truth, the
Yeah.
truth, God. Like, so when
Yeah.
God, when that person encounters the truth,
Mhm.
that truth will overwhelm any human being's soul, mind, body, soul. All the demons out of that person will be cast out, and that
Mhm.
person will change. That person, and I've seen it happen. I've seen
Yeah.
it multiple times where a life can be transformed. A mind
So you don't
can be
believe
transformed.
that
Um,
there are a few beings on this earth that are just totally soulless and there's no thread
no, there's
to grow back
absolutely
from?
demonically dark people that are going to die and end up in hell. But I also
Yeah.
know that we don't know who any of them are.
Okay.
You can't prejudge anybody. Like if I could get
Copy
saved
that.
and you could get saved, anybody could get saved, right?
Copy
And
that.
so
But
that's
no, I don't
why,
know. I don't think either one of us were near as diabolical as my mother or my kid's mother,
right?
or this guy who murdered my uncle, or the
True.
demon who's on me now. Oh, there
So
multiples,
yeah,
multiples. I tell you what, I came back into the jungle from the jungle, and when you're away from modern culture for so long, you get all the. We don't even realize how many courtesies and masks and falsehoods and fakeness that we have to wrap ourselves up with just to be socially compatible, you know. And you have to put all that kind of shit that society expects a person to have back on in order to reintegrate to society. That was a 5 year, 4 year process for me. And the first year, I was just like, I don't even want to be a part of this world. Like,
right.
I really don't.
Well,
But
I mean,
because
it's,
I
you
know
know,
my.
the funny thing about this course that I'm going to be
Mhm.
teaching, this whole Prison Fellowship Academy, one of their mottos or taglines is developing the skills for good citizenship. Um,
Wow.
and, and so I mean, and for me personally, even reading that makes me like I've never had the desire to be a good citizen. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like
You
the
might as well
even
just title that conformism. I'm just
exactly,
playing.
exactly. No, really, that so I mean
Yeah.
that's why it makes me cringe a little. Like I never. Oh, can I be a good citizen, please? No, I never wanted to be a good citizen. But the crazy thing is, I am a good citizen now.
Yeah.
Like even though it was never a desire in my life, and I've learned these skills of being able to function and be a positive influence in the community, in my life, in my family, in my kids' life, and the skills of good citizenship. It is. It's kind of a weird thing, especially when you're dealing with a bunch of other people that just because they've never committed a felony or anything, they think that they are better. Everybody's just one bad day
Right.
away from being like a person in orange, right? And the reality is only thing I can control is me. I know that
Totally.
I can keep it real. I know that I can be better each and every day. I know that
Well,
I can.
in the case of my mother, my kid's mother, it was expressly the fact that they tried to control and dominate others that they lost their self.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, I think
and they're
trying to control others is a
and
perfect way to lose yourself.
unless they have an encounter with God, they're probably going to die and end up in hell.
Check
Unless
this out.
like so,
Check this out. My mother, now her new narcissistic supply and her new cover story is the church, a
okay,
church. And
and how do you
she's
know
a,
that she's not real about it? Like, how do you know that she's
because
not?
she lies to my kid every day about her dad.
You're
She's the nail in the coffin.
your daughter still talks to her grandma all the time?
My mother
Yeah.
is the nail in the coffin that made this kidnapping possible. My dad comes down here once a year and tells me about the scars my mother put on him too,
Yeah.
and how they've been lifelong.
And
And
but
that
and when's the last time you actually talked to her though?
when she was putting the nail in the coffin,
Like,
told her, I was like, "That's wild. You are not just a child abuser, but you're a grandchild abuser. That's crazy. Like, I
yeah,
wouldn't want your fucking deathbed, you fucking fat piece of shit." And I just hung up. Well, I was locked out of the country,
yeah.
um, and then, dude, she literally testified the opposite just 6 months before on my side. Wrote a bullet points to my lawyer saying the truth. This woman just will not
Wait.
leave him alone. Always yanking his chain. Totally out
Whoa,
of
whoa, whoa,
line.
whoa. So
Way below the
your mom wrote a supportive letter of you,
6 months before she went and put the nail in the coffin on
and
the
then
thing.
she flip flopped
This is
on you.
what narcissists do. Oh wait, did you just tell me I can't dominate you and I can't dominate your situation with your child after I've used you as a kid? Are you telling me I can't do that? Watch me do it. You see what I mean? And then she makes deal with the other narcissists. And that's why I keep telling everybody about this Kia Karlberg genius piece of work at anti-narcissism.org. Because on the blog section, there's 63 things all narcissists do. And dude, I swear, and it says they will link up and they will inevitably link up and show the like the non-narcissistic person why they are less advanced, because that evil scheme tactic, they won't do that. They won't do that. Us honorable people won't do that. And
Yeah,
those narcissistic people actually think they're better than us
yeah.
because they will. You
Donald Trump
see? And
is a
so
good example of that. Yeah.
it's like that social what is it called? Social evolution theory, right?
Or
Where
social Darwinism.
something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Just or
So in social Darwinism, the idea is the
Satanism
survival.
is what it is.
Yeah, survival of the fittest. It means the survival of the most cunning, the most willing to break every. There is no taboo. It's only to do whatever it takes. I mean, that's which is
he mastered such an incredible line of bullshit that what he did is he mastered the truth, but on the
So
back end he's not doing the truth. He
yeah,
uses the truth
and so
to
I
sucker
mean,
people's money.
what we don't know is what's going on in his mind and his heart. Is there an active conflict going on? Is there the light
Mhm.
side trying to call him to the light while he still keeps going back to the dark? Maybe he needs a bit of grace or something else. I don't know. I don't know what he
It could be a
needs.
reptilian alien under there.
Yeah, I mean, by all means. I mean, he could be all kinds of things. And
Yeah.
I mean, so the idea of, should I just shoot everybody in the face and let God sort them out, right? Like, or should I just give them the same amount of grace that God has given me that I did not deserve? And it's hard. It's hard to do at first until you meditate on your own sins, your own depravity. Like if you're not willing to face up to the facts that you have done and said and been a villain in somebody's life at some point, and you played the villain role, and when you were the villain, God still loved you. Like when we were still sinners, God sent his son to die for us on the cross. And we received that grace. Man, that's what changes lives. That's what turns
Gosh,
us changes
my
the
life
story,
was saved so many times. You remember
right?
with the glass window when the guy was shooting directly at me from 5 feet away?
Yeah, yeah. Like
Fuck.
why,
Yeah.
why did, I mean, I had a flask, an active reaction making meth in a meth lab in a little bathroom in a single wide mobile home. Like I was cooking up this thing, and I had a piece of scientific glassware, and I put it down on a hot plate, but the hot plate had ceramic on it, and glass and ceramic don't mix. Like ceramic breaks glass. And so I had
Oh
this
wow.
volatile reaction going on, and I put it down to heat it up, and I hear a tink. I'm like, uh-oh. And the crack starts going around the whole thing. I'm like, oh no. And again, every time I would go to manufacture crystal meth, I had debts to pay with those drugs. And so if that batch didn't work out, again, that's where I was going to get into more problems with other people. And so I was trying to find something to put it in, and then poof, the top pops off of the glassware, and the whole room fills up with the purple cloud, and I can feel my lungs starting to collapse from this purple cloud, and I start to lose consciousness. And I was able to crawl out of the room. I put the flask inside of a tub, and I turned off the hot plate, and I crawled out of the room with this big old purple cloud of it was what the
That's right out
gas.
of the show, dude.
Yeah, yeah,
Damn.
yeah, yeah. It was like, so it makes a sort of nerve mustard gas is what it happens inside the reaction. And so I
Wow.
mean I was getting feeling the effects of that. I crawl out and I pass out on the floor, and I wake up a couple hours later, and I go in there and try and salvage whatever I could, and it was all junk. But I was like, dang, I could have died right there.
Yeah.
But now I'm still stuck with this mess that I still owe money for, and it was just a really bad day, a really
It'll
bad
be
day that
interesting to see when we get
yeah.
to the other side and replay that moment.
So right,
What
indeed,
actually
indeed.
happened if an angel came down and fanned around your
Yeah,
face
just a
or
little bit
something?
of error. I mean, but that day, that was a day that lady that I owed. I was in her house, and that's the one that I almost shot in the face. Like she came to an old, like 60-year-old biker meth lady, and I owed her money because she gave me money to make that batch of meth, and the batch didn't work out, and so she comes to collect on me like a week later, and I was like, listen, I feel like killing myself that I can't because I can't pay you. She's like all snarky, you won't do it. And I grabbed the gun out of my bag and cocked back. I was like, maybe if I kill you first, I'll have the motivation to kill myself. And my plan, like what was in my head that whole week or that whole month really was, I'm just gonna flip out and I'm gonna kill a bunch of people and then kill myself. I was planning on doing a murder suicide. That was how I was planning on going out. And man, it was right there. I was gonna squeeze the trigger and blow that lady's face right all over the wall. And I wasn't shaking or nothing. I was drew down, locked and loaded, ready to do it. And I could not get my finger to squeeze that trigger. It was weird. I looked at my hand and I tried to do it again. I could not get myself to squeeze the trigger. And I put the gun down and I grabbed, there was a little fan, like a little metal fan on the floor, and I grabbed the cord of the fan and I ripped it out of the wall. And there was a dude sitting right next to me, and the fan flew up and smacked him in the face, and blood squirted all over the room. And I was just like, "What the heck is going on here?" And then they pulled everybody out of the room. Like when they heard the gun cock, everybody was like, "What's going on?" And then when I almost shot her in the face, they came in, they pulled her out. The guy with the blood on his face, he walks out of the room, and then I'm just sitting there like
Holy
in the midst of
shit.
this chaos, like what is going on? Like I don't know, but I almost killed that lady that day, and she was a friend, kind of she's a friend of mine now. She was, I mean, and she was a friend of mine pretty much the whole time. She was the mother of one of my good friends, the guy that I want to bring into the guy that I told you about, Sean.
Yeah.
That's his mom that I almost
Jeez
shot in the
Louise.
face. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's just
Can't
crazy,
write that.
right? Well, I mean, you almost killed. Yeah, that's what I told him. I was like, bro, I almost shot your mom in the face. He's like, what? I'm like, sorry, bro. I was, I was in a bad place. But I thank God that I didn't, and I still love you and I still love your mom. But yeah,
Oh,
no,
dude, that's so crazy.
they've both been sober now for a long time, and again, it's just like, she was a crazy psycho meth mom, right? Like,
Dude,
and
I
she,
just remembered something that I forgot since I was like 11 just now off of that. That's wild though. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
crazy,
I remember
brother.
I actually stood over a lady while she was sleeping with an axe and I fucking was just like, and I had it all planned out for days. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
but I didn't drop the
I almost took my stepdad out too. That was the first time I ever really considered taking someone's life, because he was really abusive, right? And I don't
yeah.
remember what grade I was in. I was like middle school or something. And he woke up, and it was like a week before report card day. And he used to train me and my brother in martial arts, but he would do it the most violent way possible. Anyway, we had these short staffs, and we would practice, a little bit of Kali type stuff with the short staff.
Mhm.
Anyway, he wakes up just one morning in a bad mood, and it was like a week before report cards. And he's like, "I think you got F's on your report card," and he just starts beating the crap out of me before he even saw my report card. And I go to school, all bruises all up and down my arm, and angry. I was so
Yeah.
mad. And we had a 30-06 that he kept under his bed, and I was dead set that night. I was like, you know what? Because he would get home around 5, we would get home around 3 from school, and he wouldn't get home until around 5 or 6. And I was just gonna, lock and load and camp out right in the hall, because the hallway was right here, and then the door was just diagonally across the living room, and I was gonna camp out in the entrance to the hallway, and just as soon as he opened the door, boom, blow him right out the door with 30-06. That was my goal. And I sat there for a while, and it was one of those nights where he decided not to come home right after work, but he didn't come home till like 11 p.m. So after about an hour, I was like, I'm not going to do this. And I put the 30-06 away. But
I
man,
think you told me about this before.
yeah, man, I mean, again, when I was in the middle of being, in the middle of being the drug dealer and stuff, my mom called me because he cheated on her, and I was going to kill him then too. I was like, that's it. I'm finally taking this dude
Yeah.
out. I was done. Like I had so much murderous intent in my heart for that guy. And I tell you that when my brother was here just a couple months ago, we actually went and saw him. The first time I had talked to him, like
Yeah, you
11,
did.
11
You told us about it.
yeah,
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 you were
yeah.
like, and we
So,
forgave, and now you
yeah, I
guys are
was,
talking, right?
yeah, we're talking now. And I mean, I'm not talking to him every single day or anything, but yeah,
Yeah.
at least that door is open to where I can go see my mom and say hi to him, and it not be a big old thing. And
Hmm.
and
Do
that's
you
been a
think he'll
permanent.
ever? Do you think he'll ever turn it completely around and go to God and become an excellent human being and all that?
I think so. Like when I was there,
Wow.
when I went there with my brother, he asked me about if I knew anybody that would do trauma counseling for him, because he's still, yeah, I mean, because I mean, again, it was he would tell us the stories about what his dad did to him. He grew up in Alaska. His dad was a crazy Japanese guy, and his mom was an Alaskan Indian. And so his crazy Japanese dad would beat the crap out of him and all his brothers and his mom. And just be but the crazy thing is he would do the same thing. Like he used to tell me about how his dad was sitting at the dinner table and threw a fork and it stuck in his leg. And he used to tell me about that, but then he would throw utensils at me. And one time he stuck a fork into my hand at the dinner table. Like it was just, and one time he flung like, a Corningware glass lid for a Corningware. He tossed that at me and I blocked it with an elbow. Boom, it shattered everywhere. It was kind of cool because it was just like, I looked at him after that. I was like, what? But it was, again, like it was just always that stuff. And he probably does, like, he can't even hear anymore. He's getting old. He's in his 70s now. Like he's his body is shutting down. He doesn't even remember the trauma or the stuff. I bet you he still remembers the trauma from his dad, but he doesn't remember the things that he did to me and my brother. But and again, it doesn't matter though. Like again, God gave me grace that I didn't deserve, and I want that same grace for him. I want him to receive that. I want him to receive the fulfillment of that hurting down deep in the soul. And I want that for everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
even the worst piece of crap pedophile, I want that person to
I
receive
mean,
the
it's through
truth.
repentance, right? It's
Yeah,
through getting on your knees and saying sorry every day, right?
well, actually, I mean, I believe that repentance is a gift from God. So God will bring a person into repentance. So a person doesn't choose to go to repentance. God, the creator of the universe, when he puts
What
his,
if a person does choose?
well, I mean, you will choose when you're brought to your knees by the spirit
Hmm.
of repentance. And it's a syntax thing. It's the Holy Spirit falls on a person, and then a person chooses to repent. and
Well,
and
I
and
mean, because I've noticed that in personal development. I actually said that in my last that mindset video I just made. Is like, most people change when they're faced with dire consequences. But
yeah,
that being said, if you can develop mindset, maybe you can change without having to face the dire consequences and just continuously bring yourself to stepping up, you know what I mean, with a hardcore discipline.
well, I mean, for a person to have an epiphany
Hmm.
like that, to where they have this moment of clarity, and
Hmm.
again, it might not be from like having a heart attack or some kind of. It could just be something comes upon them. But I believe that thing, that indescribable force that comes upon a person, is
Hmm.
the grace and mercy of God. Like when God chooses to bring a person to his knees, he does, and he does it through all sorts of means. But it's God, it's the goodness of God that leads us to repentance, is what it says in the book of Romans. Um, and so we cannot control the outcome. We cannot control God. We cannot control other people. The only thing we can control is our response to God's grace to us. That's the only thing we're in control of. That's the only thing we're going to give an account for. I'm not going to give an account for you. I'm not going to give an account for your baby mama. I'm not going to give an account for anybody else. The only person
Right.
that, when I stand before the judgment, I'm going to give an account to God for the grace that he gave me.
Yeah.
And so when I look at, when I imagine myself standing before the king in judgment day, right? There's this
Yeah.
huge courtroom, and it's just me bare naked before God, and he knows everything. And at the same time, his son takes off his robe and covers me and says,
Yeah.
"This one is mine." Whew. It just it blows. It still breaks my heart to this day that God loves me, like the prodigal son, right?
Yeah.
And he brings me to the house, and he says, all that stuff you did, I don't worry about that. And that's what I want for everybody. I know it's weird. Like, I mean, like a worthless scumbag pedophile should die and burn in hell. I hope they burn in hell, like that movie, A Time to Kill, right? Yeah. I mean, there is a hard thing for me to think about someone who is taking advantage of a little child sexually. Like, man, I want to do bad things to those
What about
people.
their own parent doing it?
Yeah, indeed. I want to do bad things to people who hurt innocent children, right?
Tell me
I,
about it.
I was an abused child. I don't want any other abused children.
Tell me about it.
I beat the heck out of my son when he was 15, though. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
I lost it one time, and
I
again,
made mistakes with
yeah.
my kid.
So and when you see yourself doing the thing that you swear that you swore that
Yeah.
you never want to do again, that's where you need that grace,
Yeah.
and that's where you
I'm
gotta
like you
pray.
too, man.
You
That I
know?
made that one time. I did it that one time, that one
Yeah.
mistake, and man, it haunts me.
Yeah, I mean, and again, for me, I mean, it did haunt me. It shook me to my core
Mhm.
at that point in time. And I got on my knees before God. And I went to every altar call at every church I could go to. I went and talked to 5 different pastors. I fasted and prayed. I got on my knees because I was like, I mean, the amount of violence I just poured out on my son. I was like, am I even saved? Do I even know God? I was like, and I got on my knees. If I'm not saved, please save me. Kill me, do
Yeah.
whatever I can, give me cancer. I don't care. I need to know that I'm saved. And after
Wow.
praying,
That's where
uh,
I'm at right now, man. And I'm
you know,
83 hours or something fasted right now, by the way.
well, that's good. I mean,
But
fast,
yeah,
dude, there's a power, there's a special power that comes with fasting and prayer. There's a story in the Bible where Jesus's disciples were trying to cast out a demon and they couldn't do anything to the demon. And then Jesus comes down and he looks at them. He's like, guys, you such a lack of faith. And he casts out the demon. And then later on, they're asking him, well, why couldn't we cast out the demon? He's like, well, that type of demon only comes out with prayer and fasting. So
wow.
there's a special power that gets engaged when it comes to denying the flesh and embracing the spirit. When you deny your flesh and you say no to the desires of the flesh, but you embrace the grace, mercy, and spirit of God, dude, spiritual things happen, bro. Like serious spiritual things happen. You're able to bring down strongholds in your own mind, body, and soul, and in your own life.